How you doing? This is a quick video tutorial on disassembly of an XTS3000 Model 3 radio. This radio is bricked. It powers up, but it goes into, you can tell it's missing some pixels. Fail 1102 translates out to be a corrupt code plug. Now that could be fixed through the RSS, but it also has a bad RF board. So pretty much what we're doing is just, usually this would be done on a bench with an anti-static wristband, and you wouldn't be doing this without it. But this is pretty much bricked, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to show you the basic procedure to take these radios apart to check for an encryption module. This is a government radio. It should have had an encryption module in it. I've had it out before and checked. It doesn't have it in there. So I'll just go through the process with you. There's a video tutorial. A guy on Bat Labs has it, and he's got a very good tutorial. If you use a screwdriver and try to remove this back plate and to separate the case from the radio, you're not only going to destroy this plastic here, you're also going to destroy the O-ring that surrounds this. Do not do that. For about $6–7 you can buy a tool that is made by Motorola. It's made for the express purpose of removing XTS radio cases. How it works is it slides in the slot, and as it slides in, the tongues go over the top, allowing you to gently separate it. So you can go ahead and set that down for the moment, and you hold the radio at this angle because you've got the screen here. You slide it back, and you'll notice you've got a flex connector in here. Motorola makes an A and a B. You can take this flex connector off by flipping the connector. It's got a place where you can do that. Now, the O-ring is intact. There's no damage to the O-ring because we used the handy dandy little Motorola tool. Okay, so now what we've got is we've got the basic radio skeleton. Okay, you've got an LCD that rides on 4 posts. Actually, I believe it rides on 3 posts. They're shock mounts. They've got red dots on the top. You can tell. What you need to do first, there's a little piece here. It's a piece of the flex. It's called a brown finger. Make sure that when you reassemble that you've got that in place, because it compresses up against the outer case, and you've got to have that in place. If you don't, it's going to screw the radio up. Anyway, there are 2 little detents here. You take your tool, not a screwdriver, you take that tool and you can successfully remove the LCD module. These LCD modules, this is what it looks like. Be very careful with this flex, because this flex is very brittle and it will break. You can see the brown finger right there. Okay, so you've got the flex off. Now what you've got the controller board, and you've got the keypad. Okay, the thing I'm looking for under here is under the keypad. So to get to that, what you do is first, on the side by the antenna, you've got two clips. And let me set this down for a minute. And let me get my screwdriver. Thought I had it with me, but I didn't. Okay. So, you've got two clips. Use a small screwdriver to do this. Let me... Yeah, that's the right size. Okay. The clips ride on a channel. You gently pry upwards on them. And these chips, or these clips rather, will fit in a groove. There we go. Fit in a groove that is in the controller board. Be very gentle with this. It takes a little bit of working out because of the way these are in. Right now, what I'm going to do before I do any more is you've got two guide channels. These guide channels will allow you, right here, will allow you just enough blade space to remove on each side the keypad. So gently slide it in and pop those off. Now, you're ready to remove the module. But before you do that, you're going to have to work this little thing. It's kind of hard to get out, and it's very, very fragile. This metal piece actually comes off the flex. I'm going to leave it on for right now. You don't really need it off. Be very, very, very delicate with that. These have lights in them. There's a lot of controls on here. So what you're looking at now is you're looking at the controller board. This controller board's bad. You've got a tab up here that you have to watch when you take this apart. What you do is you lift up from the back and you gently slide it backwards. Now, you've got your controller board. This one is toast, so it needs replaced. Unfortunately. I don't think I'm going to keep this radio, so I'm just probably going to leave it. Okay, so once you take that controller board out, this is what it looks like on. Once you take it out, what I was looking for in here was an encryption board. Doesn't have it. Whoever had this radio, this was a government radio. I know it came with dual encryption. Whoever had it, remove that encryption board. Which really sucks because, I mean, that's a very expensive board. It usually fits in this tray and it plugs in. But it's gone. Now you can go ahead and you can try and disassemble this further. I'm not going to do that because this little antenna piece, there's a lot of real fragile parts on the inside of this that really don't need to go any further than the application that I've gone to just to find that, find out if it's got encryption in it. So, it's time to reassemble. First of all, you just pretty much reverse the steps. You see that tab? There's a little tab right here. It slides in, and this fits in. It mates on to the chassis. Make sure it's lined up properly. Okay? Then, you've got your keypad and flex. The keypad goes on just the same way it came off. You've got seated in there properly, and you can hear it click into place. If you don't hear those clicks, it's not seated properly. And you need to stop and you need to actually see how out of line you are with this. This flex is so brittle. Make sure that the mounting connector is seated into that. You attach it first by pressing down on the back. Then on this side, you simply take your fingers, snap it into place. So then you've got your flex. At this point, you wipe off any type of fingerprint you might have on it. Okay, so there you go. Now, you take your LCD, and this is the LCD module. It comes, it's wrapped in rubber. If I can get it clear. Okay, there's a little groove here where the LCD flex connector mates to the board. You've got 3 posts. 1, 2, 3. These are the shock mounts that this will ride in. You've got 1, 2, 3. So what you do is you simply watch that brown finger. You simply slip this in very gently. It'll take some doing. It may take 1 or 2 tries. Make sure you do not rip the flex on this, because these LCDs are very expensive. The brown finger is in its proper position. You apply downwards pressure until you hear a snap. It's snapped in place, the brown finger is in place. Then you simply gently press in on each post. Make sure those shock mounts engage. Let me see. It takes a little bit of doing, but you've got to get it right, because if you don't get it right, you're going to wind up screwing up a pretty good radio. Okay, now you've got that in place. Whatever you do, before you put anything, before you go any further, before you do anything else, make sure that screen's wiped off, which is what I'm going to do now. The guy who had this radio before I did left his fingerprints on the screen. Well, the screen will those prints will show through a radio case very easily, and they'll annoy you to no end. Okay, this is the O-ring. This O-ring runs on channels. You simply slip it up and you let it ride along these channels, ride along like this. Make sure they are in position all the way around the exterior. Don't let it get away from you. XTS O-rings are a little more durable than the HT1000s, which is why I prefer, one of the reasons I prefer XTS radios better. They're easier to work on. Okay, so once you play around with this and you get this in, son of a bitch. I rarely have a difficulty with an O-ring, but this one, for some reason, is wanting to be difficult. Okay, it's in place. Now I'm going to need to seat this back down because it missed when I was trying to get that in the channel. The O-ring is in position. It's all the way around. It's all the way around the radio. It's in the proper alignment. No damage. Okay, then what you do is you take your radio case. You've got a Motorola makes an A connector and a B connector. You're using a B connector. If you see one with an A connector, try and pass on it, because those are really difficult to get, and Motorola switched because they found that A connector to be difficult, and there was a reason why they changed it. So any stock case you get is going to have a B connector. It simply clips in. Watch this flex right here. This flex, if you mess it up, if you turn the radio while you've got that clipped in, it will split. And if it splits, you won't be able to power the radio. Well, you'll be able to power the radio on, but the controls won't work. Okay, to get this back in, you simply align it up with the chassis. Give it a push up. Then watch that O-ring. So many mistakes are made because people don't guide that O-ring in when they close it. Keep your fingers on it and watch to make sure that it's clearing, because when it doesn't clear, that's when you've got problems, and that's when you can snap that O-ring. Now, there's two teeth on the bottom of this. The best way to close a case is to invert your tool. Invert your tool backwards. Press in and push down. You can hear a click. You've got no damage to the O-ring. Everything. There's no visibility of any O-ring. Okay, so now you've got it. Well, we didn't have a module, so out of luck on that. Kind of hope we would. Anyway, put this all back together and power it back up. Same deal. 1182. So anyway, that is pretty much what you would do if you needed to disassemble an XTS radio to check for the module. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Make sure that you use this tool, because if you don't, you're going to have a real bad experience, I guarantee it. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Before anybody whines, if you're going to do that on a radio that is working, in perfect working shape, do it on a bench with an anti-static line, with a wrist line, and have the right tools. This is the right tool, and a small screwdriver. So a nylon tip would be good, but this will work. So anyway, that's pretty much it. You guys take it easy, and good luck with your projects.